UIC. Freedom and people of hell yeah. Freedom and people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom and people of want. Freedom and people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom and people of want. Freedom and people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom and people of want. Freedom and people of need. Yeah, yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. The when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of it used to be UIC TV, but they have shut us down on YouTube. So here we are on UIC Jamaica on YouTube, and of course on our regular channels of Facebook. Good night, and thank you for being here with me tonight. Hopefully you can hear me clearly. We've been having a lot of problems over the last week or so with not being able to hear clearly, not being able to have our accounts open. So thank you very much for your patience and for you sticking with us while our colonial masters continue to try to make life very difficult. So good evening and welcome. I'm hearing that the mic is still low. Oh, here we go again. It's been working very well all day today in other settings. But let me see if there's anything I can do to make it better. How is that? Can you hear me clearly? Push this right into my mouth. How is that? Any better? Okay. Any better? Can you hear me? All right, much better. So what I'll do, I'll stick it right in front of me here and make sure that I can speak right into it. Thank you very much, Craig. So tonight I want to talk to you about uh, what has happened over the weekend with Adam Stewart responding to the health minister's decision to advocate for discrimination against Jamaicans who have chosen not to take a particular medication. Now, I have to be very careful with my words, because any slip, and they're going to take away this microphone from me as well. So we're living in a very sensitive period of human history, one where you can't speak freely. You have to watch your every word. And this is serious. This is very serious because it means we can't just have free communication. We can't just um, talk to each other clearly. We have to be choosing our words very, very, very carefully. We have to watch what we say because the powers that be may just take away our voice. That's amazing. But anyways, good night. Good night to you all. I really missed being able to do my regular lives with you. We have so many things to talk about. So many things keep changing. The dynamics are shifting each and every day. But I'm happy to be here, and I thank you for hanging in there with us as we navigate the world of censorship, the world of lacking free speech, lacking freedom of movement, and lacking freedom of choice. This is really very serious. So Adam Smith made a comment on the weekend where he called out the health minister for suggesting that the government is going to pursue an agenda of discriminating against those who are injection free. So those of us who have chosen not to take the injection, the health minister, the prime minister, their government is committed to discriminating against us. Did I say Adam Smith? I meant Adam Stewart. Adam Smith is the great economist who wrote the book called The Wealth of Nations. But Adam Stewart is the son of Butch Stewart, who has taken over his father's empire. I was most pleased to listen to his conversation on Nationwide, where he um, clearly decided to speak up and speak out. Obviously, he has a vested interest. Their interest is to, interest is to see to the economic well being of his company. And I can't blame him for that. We all need to seek the economic well being of ourselves. You know, we each need to make sure that we're taking care of our economic well being. And so Adam Stewart uh, is taking care of his economic well-being, but he's also a Jamaican like the rest of us. Yeah, he's just like you and me. He's asking a question he wants to clarify. He was very concerned that a minister of health would want to say that it is a deliberate policy of government to pursue discrimination against the people of the country that they're supposed to be taking care of. We have never heard them talk about discriminating against those who have come into our country and are taking over our assets. We have never heard them talking about discrimination against those who seek to control the Jamaican economy from, you know, the outside. But they're willing to discriminate against Jamaicans. And here's the amazing thing: they want to pit 20% of us against 80% of us. Yeah? They want to divide the country into the 80-20 and have, just think about it, to have 20% of us, those who have taken the injection, to be going to war with the other 80% of us. Now, this is a very suicidal proposition from the government because certainly 80% is a very big number when compared to 20%. And so clearly the government has lost its mind. But we knew that for a long time. They have lost their mind, and we're going to have to help them to get back on track. Eh? And the best way for us to do that is for each of us as Jamaicans to stand up and stand our grounds. Now, similar to Adam Stewart, we had a feedback from uh, Tanya Stevenson. As you know, Tanya Stevenson is one of our popular lady reggae artists. And um, Ms. Stevens have called for the resignation of the Minister of Health because he has decided to um, make those very reckless comments. And let's not blame him, you know. It's not him we should blame because he's not speaking for himself. Tanya Stevens is speaking. Um, she's referring to the health minister and asking that he resigns. But the health minister was not speaking for himself. The health minister was speaking for the government of Jamaica. He was echoing the policies of the government of Jamaica, of which Andrew Holness is the prime minister or the chief executive officer. And so I would suggest that we don't call for the resignation of the Minister of Health and Wellness, but that we recognize that this is a symptomatic problem of the entire government. And so we have to call for the resignation of the entire government, if you think about it. And if you think about it further, we have to call for the resignation of the opposition that's also in government. Why is that so? Because the opposition has been complicit in the actions of the government. They have not demonstrated that they clearly understand the issues and are willing to stand up for the people of Jamaica. And so, since the government has proven itself to be incapable or unwilling to defend the interest of the Jamaican people, and since the opposition has demonstrated its incompetence or lack of interest in defending the people of Jamaica, in protecting their rights and freedoms, then clearly the opposition leader and those of the opposition benches must similarly join the Prime Minister and those on the government benches and resign. They must resign. Now, of course, they're not going to resign of their own accord. And so we, the Jamaican people, are going to have to help them. How do we do that? We are going to have to lead a demonstration of sorts to make it very clear to the government that they need to leave. Now, let us for a moment be very generous to the government. Let us say we understand that it was they were in a spot. They've taken monies from their colonial masters. They've entered into certain international treaties which tied their hands, and they felt committed to pursue a particular agenda. And now they recognize that it was a mistake. That's okay. I would welcome the Prime Minister explaining that to the Jamaican people and graciously stepping down and allowing us to come together as a nation and unite around creating a new Jamaica, a Jamaica which is no longer beholden to foreign powers, a Jamaica which is no longer beholden to the private sector organization of Jamaica, a Jamaica which is completely and unequivocally committed to the Jamaican people only. So, on the question of the government deciding that it wants to discriminate against the people of Jamaica based on their medical status, I think this is the last straw for us as Jamaicans. To know that we have a government that is willing to say they are going to discriminate against Jamaicans based on their medical status. And here's the worst part about it. The science is now very clear. The science is now absolutely clear that those who are injected and those who are not injected are susceptible to contracting the disease and susceptible to transmitting the disease. That's a known fact. Now, the argument that they have posited to us is that those who have taken the injection are less likely to suffer severe illness or death. Fine, a possibility. Let's leave it at that. The question, though, is since both parties can transmit and both parties can become sick, one or more, one or the other might be more severely sick or might be more susceptible to death. But since both parties are transmitters, on what grounds are you going to now discriminate against one or the other? Now let's take this a bit further. It is very clear that the government itself lacks the capacity to develop solutions for the Jamaican people. But think about this. Think about this carefully. As the situation evolves, we're finding that different strains, the injection is less efficacious against those new strains. So a person taking an injection today, which is suitable for one strain, in the past, especially donated injections, which may or may not be close to their expiry date and from a reasonable standpoint may be out of date and not suitable for purpose. So forcing the Jamaican people to take an injection that may have little or no effect in terms of protecting against the current strain or future strain tells you that we have a mental problem in terms of those who are overseeing our health policy and their government. The additional evidence that suggests that there can be severe side effects and even death, and the fact that the probability of becoming infected and seriously affected as a young people is low, And yet still our government, putting aside all of that science, is committed to pursuing our little children and injecting them nonetheless with something that could be very hazardous to their health, but have little or no impact in terms of protecting them from the current strain, tells you we have a government that is either mindless or is so controlled by outside powers that it cannot afford to pay attention to the science and the realities, but is dead set on merely carrying out the mechanics of injecting as many Jamaicans as possible to achieve a stated target. Now, the evidence is clear that with only about 20 or 21.25% of the Jamaican people injected over a 2 year span, we have not had a severe situation of massive deaths or major hospitalization. Our healthcare system suffered and has been suffering for years from being inadequate for the population size and inadequate to deal with the kind of challenges that are posed day to day to Jamaicans in all forms of potential diseases. So our healthcare system is way below standard, both in capacity and in quality. So that's not new. So the fact that you may have an uptick or you may have pressures on the system is not justification for giving Jamaicans an outdated injection and an injection which is also experimental and an injection that the Jamaican government has no recourse in terms of liabilities, recovering any form of liabilities from third parties for having forced this upon the Jamaican people. So, my fellow Jamaicans, how can we continue to have trust or faith in a government such as this? And how can we continue to have trust or faith in an opposition such as the one that we have had over the past 6 years? I stand firmly with Adam Stewart and Tanya Stevens in objecting to this discrimination being proposed by the government. I stand firmly with the 80% of Jamaicans who are committed to not taking this injection simply because they don't have any faith or trust in it. Now, you know that the UIC has always maintained a position of freedom of choice. So if a person has taken it, we respect your right to take it. And if a person does not want to take it, we respect your right not to take it. What we vehemently oppose is the government wanting to take away your right to choose what is best for you and your family. So what we want to do now is to shift the discussion away from taking it or not taking it and shift the discussion away from mandates and move to respect, move to unity, move to creating one Jamaica. A Jamaica where we respect each other. A Jamaica where we're no longer divided by party color, or by medical status. A Jamaica where we make decisions not based on partisan tribes, but on being objective, looking at problems objectively, not through partisan lens, not through any form of division. Because right now, the approach being taken by the government is to divide us into yet another tribe, the injected tribe versus the uninjected tribe. And we don't want that. We want to be one Jamaica, Whether you have taken this particular medical experiment or not, you are just as much a Jamaican as those who have chosen not to take it. And so it's time for us to come together as a nation. It's time for us to pull together. It's time for us to recover our economy. It's time for us to build a strong economy. It's time for us to build one Jamaica, united, strong, and free. It's time for us to have a Jamaica where each and every one of us respect the life, the liberty, and the property rights of each of us. I must respect you, you must respect me. I must respect your right to live, your God given right to your life. I must respect your right to freedom of choice, your liberty to choose what is best for you and to make every effort to achieve your best self. I must respect your right to your property, whatever it is you own, whatever it is you have purchased with your hard earned money. I must respect your property, including you, your person, your body. And so, no government of any stripe, of any color, of any philosophy must ever have the right to violate the personal sovereignty of any Jamaican citizen. We must have a new Jamaica, a Jamaica that truly means what our motto says, out of many, one people. It's time for us to be one people. It's time for us to be united. It's only in unity that we will be strong. There are many challenges facing our country today. Many challenges. We have a serious crime problem. I just watched a video a while ago on WhatsApp which wrenched my heart. Two nice looking young girls fighting in what appears to be a schoolyard, punching and dragging each other. And then one reached for a knife and started to stab the other one all over her body, on her face, on her arms, on her chest. We don't want to see that kind of Jamaica. We don't want that kind of Jamaica for ourselves or our children or our grandchildren. So the time has come for us to refocus. Our government needs to take its foot off the neck of the Jamaican people and stop pursuing an agenda that's foreign to us and pursue the Jamaican agenda. We need a government that recognizes the need to rebuild the social fabric of Jamaica. We need a government that is going to help us to find upward mobility in our economy so that mothers and fathers can again have the time and energy to attend to their children. We need our teachers to be comfortably paid and to have the resources to teach our children to have self respect, to teach our children to be able to relate one to another without violence, to handle conflicts without violence. We need a Jamaica with a police service which is entrenched in the communities, which is connected to the community, which understands the trials of the families and are a part of the solution in their communities. We need a Jamaica where our approach to crime fighting is not simply sending out more police and soldiers with high-powered guns walking around in our street and scraping up our young men and throwing them into prisons. Instead, we need a police service and a government which understands the people, which understands the reason why we're here and address the core problems. Yes, my fellow Jamaicans, the time has come for us to take a new direction. Bad governance has impacted everything about Jamaica. Bad governance. You know, some people think that government is separate from what's happening in society. No. It is the kind of government that you have, it is the kind of governance that you have that determines the temperature, the mood, the behavior of the people. A very, very corrupt government causes the people to lose respect for authority, causes the children to lose respect for their teachers and their police officers, causes our nurses and doctors to have less empathy and care because of the environment in which they have to work. So it's very important for us to understand the impact of governance on our society. And Jamaica has suffered for 78 years long with bad governance. So the time has come, my fellow Jamaicans, for good governance to be the norm in Jamaica. The time has come for us to be all that we can be, and we cannot be that by continuing the system of governance that divides us, that distracts us, and that allows a few people to extract our wealth from us. We must turn the table on the system of governance. We're supposed to be celebrating Black History Month. It's February, and it's called Black History Month. But what are we celebrating? What is the history of the black man? What is the history of the black race? Yeah? What is our history? Are we proud of the history we have today? I'm not proud of our history. I'm not impressed by our history because the history that we have, first of all, is not written by us, and the history we're creating is not one that is going to leave our children and grandchildren proud of us. Our country, our people need a history that shows that we can govern ourselves. We need a history that makes it very clear that we understand what good governance is. And I can tell you this, good governance is not partisan politics. Good governance is not a system where we sit on either side of the aisles and we cuss each other and undermine each other and seek to find ways to destroy each other. That's not good governance. If you look at a company, a well-run company, it has a board of directors. And around that board table, they don't have a government and an opposition. What they have are directors. And each of the directors are there to ensure that the company is being run properly. You might have some directors who have skills in finance, and so they have a particular ability to draw attention to financial issues and help to question the senior management and make proposals to senior management that they can use to improve the finances of the company. You also have those with particular skills in operations. So they may understand operations very well. And so based on their discipline, based on their experience and knowledge, they're able to give comments, suggestions, um, you know, analysis on the operations of the company, which will help the company to grow and do well. You might have those who have particular skills in marketing and advertising that also bring and lend those skills to the board and to senior management. As a result of having a board that consists of qualified and competent individuals drawn from different disciplines, the company is able to make good and better decisions. The shareholders are well represented by these directors, and the management team, because it's separate from the board, generally speaking, receives the kind of oversight that it needs to do well. If it fails to have proper internal controls, the board of directors would see that and point it out. If it is failing to pay attention to key market segment, the members of the board would point that out and senior management would make adjustments. If the performance is substandard relative to other companies, the board will see that and bring that to management's attention and challenge management on its approach and its solutions. As a result, what you have is more of a Congress, which is what the UIC is proposing. What you have now is more of a Congress. You have a situation where we can talk to each other. We're not arguing with each other per se. We're discussing how to improve the company. If you think of Jamaica as a company, what is our oversight mechanism? Over the last 78 years, we have so many agencies. We've built many agencies. Every time there's a particular problem, we have a new agency, and we've created many agencies. But over the years, what we have done is to create more government jobs, more persons who have been taken out of the productive sector, who have left the productive sector to sit in cozy positions at the expense of the dwindling productive sector of Jamaica. And so, as government gets larger and larger and larger, it requires more and more of our tax dollars to fund it. And over time, the country gets weaker and weaker because we're paying for services that we're not receiving. If you think I'm lying, just look around you. I had to laugh yesterday. I was watching a Wayne Lonesome video, and I saw the opposition leader, Mark Golding, on that video. I had to laugh because Mr. Golding started to talk about a number of things that needs to be done in Jamaica. And he gave the impression that he's going to, if he's elected prime minister by virtue of his party winning, he's going to implement a number of things. But lo and behold, all I heard Mr. Golding doing was referring to different aspects of the UIC's manifesto and 10-point plan. Of course, using colorful words and terms to cover it, but still, all he's doing is speaking to the various elements of the UIC manifesto that he wants to promise us that he is going to do if he's elected. But my question to Mark Golden is this: why would the Jamaican people want to trust you and your party now when you had 78 years in which to do all the things you're now going to promise us? But you could not have done it over the 78 years that you have been in office. That tells me that the people of Jamaica cannot and should not trust you, Mark Golden, or your party. Now, the same is true for the current government under Andrew Holness and the party in power. We cannot trust them to do anything that they tell us now, no matter what the grand announcements are. They might announce that they're going to do things in the technology sector, or announce that they're going to do things in the farming sector, or announce that they're going to do things in all manner of areas that are going to solve every problem in the book when they've had 70 years and they haven't done it. So here's what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that the parties of Jamaica, the political parties of Jamaica, come together around a conference table and look at the reality of Jamaica and discuss how we're going to move Jamaica forward. Let's put aside for a moment our political ambitions, those who want to become prime minister and those who want to take power. Let's put that aside for a moment and put Jamaica first. Let us sit around the table, and I am prepared, as leader of the UIC, to give every conceivable proposals, all of our plans and policies to improve Jamaica to the other two party leaders, and for us together to craft a plan that's going to move Jamaica out of its current state of disrepair and make it a very prosperous and productive country. I would like to join hands with Andrew Holness and Mark Golding in the interest of the Jamaican people and the country of Jamaica to say, let us fix the core problems of this country. We know that the number one problem, at least I hope they do realize this, is our system of governance. The system of governance that we have in Jamaica right now is very destructive. And for us to move forward as a country, we're going to have to address that system of governance. Now, we don't want a plating solution. We don't want the political gimmickry or gimmicks where we're going to talk about changing to a republic because it is the in thing now, given what Barbados has done. Let's not do that. Let us honestly say that the time has come. In fact, it came a long time ago. But let us say that the time has come now for us to create a true republic, not a fake one. So we're going to have an elected president that is elected nationally by the people of Jamaica. We're going to have an executive branch of government which is completely separate from the two legislative branches of government. We're going to separate the House of Representatives from the Senate so that we have proper checks and balances. We're going to remove the political element of the police force so that the police force becomes a police service and is completely detached from political interference so that the police service can actually carry out its job of protecting the rights of Jamaicans and doing so without fear or favor and without any form of interference or influence by political motives. We must also agree that if Jamaica is going to get anywhere, we have to build the human capital of Jamaica, and we have to do it very fast. And so to do that, we're going to have to invest in our children. We're going to have to invest heavily in our children and in our families. Now, that is not just a matter of spending money, it's also a matter of design. So we have to move away from the colonial model of education and embrace a new model of education, one that begins with an understanding of the need to have very, very healthy children. So we have to start with prenatal care, making sure that we're helping our mothers and fathers to bring healthy children into this world. So we have to address the health needs of our mothers and our fathers. And we have to transition this into the health and wellness of the children that come into this world and making sure that they're properly nourished through the prenatal to the early years, right through basic school, primary, high school, and into tertiary education. So we have to ensure now that our children are well nourished with the kinds of food that is going to give them the brain capacity to make significant contribution to nation building. We're going to also have to make sure that we no longer graduate students from one grade to the next based on age, but rather graduate them based on competencies. We have to build into our education system again and permanently the idea of merit is the basis on which you grow. So you must earn your next leg and you must have the tools to do so. So we're going to ask, through this coalition of the three political parties, putting aside the politics, right? I don't care about being prime minister. What I care about is having a Jamaica that all of us can live, earn, and retire with dignity in liberty. That's what we need. And so to get there, let's put aside the politics and focus now on fixing the problems. So let us ensure that at the basic school level, at the primary school level, at the high school level, we have the best qualified and competent teachers. So all of our teachers must be in a master's degree program that helps them to master the subject areas that they're going to impart to our children. You want highly competent and qualified persons teaching your child, because if that happens, they're going to master the skills early. What we have today are children graduating from basic school to primary school without the skills that they should have had at basic school. And they're leaving primary school to go to high school without the skills they should have at the primary school level. And then they're leaving high school into the world or into college or university without having the skills they need to have to move into the world or college or university. So let's stop playing around. Let's stop pretending that this is not the case. So now let's focus. I spoke a while ago about the children and the family, the mothers and the fathers and the children. Let's now shift into what we need to happen for our teachers. Let's make sure we have a teacher training program which actually teaches teachers to be able to bring out the best in our children. Let's make sure we have master's degree quality teachers at every level of our program. And let's make sure that our program is designed not to produce mere employees or workers, but let's ensure our program is designed to produce thinkers, creators, and innovators and inventors. Let's make sure our program is designed to produce quality mothers and fathers. Let's make sure our program is designed to produce quality citizens who understand the good governance, who can hold their government to account. And we don't have to have like what we have now, where we have to work so hard to let the people understand what is being done to them in order for them to vote for what is right for them. Let us do that, Andrew. Let us do that, Mark. Let us put aside our apparent differences and coalesce around what we all know is good and right for Jamaica. As we pursue this quest with our children and our teachers, if we're going to ensure a healthy society, not only do we have to educate and pay our teachers well, we have to educate and pay our nurses and doctors well too. We have to make sure we retain our teachers and doctors and nurses. The best of them must want to stay here. Let those who are not so great go overseas. But let's make sure we pay and keep the best right here in Jamaica. So if we have to cut anything else, let's cut where we have to cut. Let's get rid of the excessive boards and agencies that are not adding any value. And let's put that money in our police officers, in our teachers, in our nurses, in our doctors, so that they can give us the healthy, educated, and intelligent society we need so that the rest of us can have the ability to learn and earn at high levels. So that we can stop talking about minimum wage. Let's get rid of that concept of a minimum wage and focus our people on earning their maximum potential. Minimum wage and such low wages is for teenagers. It is for children who are living with their mothers and fathers and they just want to earn some extra money in order to develop their independence and develop their work ethics and work skills, flipping burgers or working in a restaurant or something. All those low paying jobs must be for children. We cannot expect minimum wage to feed a family, and we should not condition the minds of our people to expect minimum wage to cover the cost of feeding and taking care of a family. It is not. Low wages are for teenagers, for young people who are getting their first basic job while in high school, working part-time, and those who just leave those basic jobs so that they can learn how to work in a team, how to follow rules, how to engage with customers and build their skills. So let's stop tricking the people, Mark and Andrew. Let's stop tricking them with this idea of minimum wage. Jamaica does not need a minimum wage. And I know there are some who are going to say, but if you don't have a minimum wage, the the big bad capitalist companies are going to rip off people. No, you want a society where the people understand how to make decisions, how to negotiate, how to value themselves, and to appreciate that minimum wage jobs are for children. They're not for adults. A mother and father with 3 children should not be earning minimum wage. But how are we going to get past that? You get past that by investing in our human capital, the way I have just described. So get our children up to standard, get our teachers up to standard, get our mothers and fathers up to standard. Now, there are some things we have to agree on as well, Mark and Andrew. We have to agree that Jamaica's oil is agriculture. Jamaica has two specific, we can have more, but there are two specific, um, what we call competitive advantage, which Jamaica has. One competitive advantage is our beautiful island and climate and soil and access to an abundance of water, nutritious soil, an abundance of water, and an abundance of sunlight. If we seriously go back to farming and do farming the right way, focusing on organic farming and making Jamaica a specialist in organic farming and building massive organic farms like they've done in the Netherlands, we can generate some serious income that will make Jamaica one of the richest countries in the world. But we have to come together, Mark. We have to come together, Andrew. We cannot continue to fight each other. We have to come together around these truths and focus on honestly shifting the nation resources from waste and corruption into organic farming. We cannot continue to use our beautiful farmlands to build matchbox houses and creating an urban sprawl. Let us move our people into high density, high rise condos where possible and where feasible, and let's secure this massive land that we have and keep that massive land under organic cultivation. We can supply the organic market with the tomatoes, with the onions, with the scallion, with the thyme, with the mangoes, with the papayas, with the cantaloupes, with all manners of vegetables, the cabbage, the carrots, the beautiful yams. We can provide the world in mass quantity succulent, juicy, nutritious Jamaican foods. If we are determined to do that, let's make this our oil. Let's make this our gold. Let's make this our competitive advantage. Now, here's the beauty about this, Mark and Andrew. If we do that, there will be not one poor person in Jamaica unless they're lazy. If we do this, we can raise the living standard from where it is now at between 5 and 9,000 US dollars per capita, per person that is, to over 65,000 US dollars per person and put us on par with Singapore or better. Singapore is 1/15th the size of Jamaica, and they are producing at more than 500 times Jamaica. We can do better, we must do better, and if we come together, Mark and Andrew, we can do better. Let's stop wasting our energy at figuring out how to beat each other at the polls. Let us come and sit around the table and craft a strategy for Jamaica and pursue that in a united front. I don't need to be prime minister. I just need to live in a Jamaica like the one I am describing to you. You all can be prime minister. Let us just fix Jamaica. Now, I told you a while ago that we have one key competitive advantage, and that is in organic farming. We can become the organic food capital of the world, hands down. But we also have a second competitive advantage, and that is our tourism product. We have wasted our tourism product. We have given away our tourism product. We have caused Jamaicans to become very poor, and for a few Jamaicans to own the tourist industry, and for foreigners to come in and get large chunks of the tourism industry. We can take that back, Andrew. We can take it back, Mark. And together we can do it. The three of us leading our political movements to coalesce around a clear strategy to lift the Jamaican people up, we can do it. And here's how we can do it. Let us move away from simply supporting and pushing all-inclusive tourism, uh, tourist destinations, to making all of Jamaica, a all-inclusive tourism product. So when a tourist comes here, all of Jamaica is the all-inclusive. From Montego Bay, St. James, to Morant Bay, St. Thomas. From Portland to Trelawney. From St. Elizabeth and Clarendon to St. Anne and St. Mary. Let's make our capital, Kingston, a true magnificent capital that is the envy of the world. Let's rebuild Spanish Town and show off what Spanish Town used to be in the glory days as the first capital of Jamaica. Let's make Montego Bay truly a second capital. Let's open up the homes of Jamaicans and the communities of Jamaica to the full tourism experience. And the way we do that, Andrew and Mark, is by declaring all of Jamaica a safe zone. Let's get rid of the crime and violence across Jamaica by beginning to transform every single community into a safe, clean, and orderly space with proper sidewalk, with proper maintenance, with proper street lights, solar lights so we can cut the cost, with jobs, thousands of jobs for Jamaicans maintaining a beautiful scenery in every community, properly cut grass, beautifully planted flowers, beautiful fruit trees lining the roadways that people can have access to fruits free of charge. We can have mango trees, sweet sop trees, cherry trees, guava trees, all across the country. We can plant up the entire Jamaica and make it an amazing oasis of food, free food for all Jamaicans. Nobody can be hungry. Right across the country, every community, well kept and well maintained, trimmed and kept in line. We can make our forests permaculture food forests. With our organic capital agenda, organic food capital agenda, and this kind of tourism product, where you now have tourists coming here to experience even our farms. You have tourists coming here, going into our communities. They're enjoying the community. They're eating real Jamaican food, made in Jamaica food, grown in Jamaica food. Our yams, our bananas, our mangoes, our sweet sops. Let's have it here. And let's have our ponds and rivers and beaches well maintained for the benefit of Jamaicans and tourists. No exclusion here. We don't want you to exclude Jamaicans from the experience. I want you to make a beautiful Jamaica. We can make a beautiful Jamaica. A very clean Jamaica. No more garbage all over the place. We have bins, we have proper collections, and we start to enforce non-litter laws, charging people who violate them and making public example of those who fail to comply with the rules. But make sure though that you have proper garbage pickups, so we don't have the garbage blowing out on the streets because they've sat in the garbage container for weeks and weeks until dogs go and pull them out. I wonder if you see what I'm saying, my friends. If Andrew Holness, Mark Golden, and Joseph Patterson put aside the political bickering and come together around the table and share ideas, share strategies, cross pollinate them, and focus on the needs of the country. Let's do that now. Now is the time for Jamaica to unite and rebuild quickly. We have been in a declining mode for 78 years. We have gone from being the leading country in the Caribbean from an economic standpoint to now second to last. Yes, when we were at our A days, we were under colonial powers, and the wealth was not properly distributed throughout the entire population. Now that we have taken over from our colonial masters, it is time for us to do better than our colonial masters. We must unite to build a new and better Jamaica. And that begins with us having a new constitution. The UIC proposes a constitution that will first of all respect the sovereignty of every single citizen. That new constitution must be designed with the understanding that each of us are sovereign. Each of us are created by our Creator to be our own person, to make our own decisions about what we're going to put in and on or around our bodies. We are endowed by our Creator with the right to freedom of speech. We are endowed by our Creator with the right to freedom of movement. We are endowed by our Creator with the right to freedom of choice. We are endowed by our Creator with the right to freedom of assembly or association. So no government, no group, no person must ever have the right to take those away from us. And so we need a constitution that unequivocally protects those rights. We need a system of government which puts government in its place. A system that says, here is the parameter of government and can go no further. In other words, what we need is a system where government protects us from criminals and the Constitution protects us from government. We need a system where the government protects us from criminals and where the Constitution protects us from government. You don't want a situation where government is unfettered and is able to do whatever it wants with us. So the UIC has a plan for a new constitution that will make Jamaica a non-partisan, constitutional republic. A non-partisan, constitutional republic. And this will mean that we will have a Jamaica where partisan politics becomes a thing of the past. In our new Jamaica, big money will no longer be able to control who gets elected because we're going to have a 100% publicly funded campaign financing system. And we have explained that in our manifesto. And I want to work with Andrew and Mark to implement such a system where no matter how poor you are, you have an equal opportunity to be elected just as the richest person is. Because in our system, every candidate will receive the same access to radio, the same access to television, the same access to the internet, the same access to town hall meetings, and the same access to debates, whether they're rich or poor. The rich will have no greater access, and the poor will have no less access. All they have to do is to qualify by going through a process that includes being educated, proving that you have the education to participate in the kind of rigorous debates and discussion and decisions that takes place in a system of governance. And so we're going to make sure that that is the process. And then once you qualify and go into your community and get a few signatures of persons who commit to saying they want to give you their vote, then you get automatical access to all of these things. No money. You don't get no money. The government will pick you up and carry you to your town hall meeting or your debate. So you don't have to worry about having money for that. The government will have the same platform, website, where all candidates are listed. And on this, your picture will be there, your profile will be there, your manifesto will be there, presented the same nice way as any other candidate. You will have the same amount of allotment to be able to give your speeches on the internet, on the radio. You'll be able to write in the newspaper and articulate yourself just like the other candidates can. We won't have like what we have today, right now, where you have a system where the UIC is not sponsored by the PSOJ elites, so you don't see us on radio and television, and you don't see us in the newspaper because the elites decided that you should not hear from us. And so we have to rely on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram because otherwise you couldn't hear us because we don't have the kind of money. We don't have the money that they have. We depend on donations from ordinary Jamaicans here at home and abroad. But the other part is because they're favored by the PSOJ elites, they get billions of dollars plus they get access to taxpayers' money to use that money to reach you. Now the UIC is going to get rid of that system. In fact, I'm asking Mark Golden and Andrew Holness to join me in getting rid of that system. Let's create a level playing field for all Jamaicans to have access to the political system. A part of the UIC system as well is to make sure that government becomes very transparent. So for us, take the budget, for example. The budget will be online. It will be in a simple format, not the convoluted one that you have now. And you, as a citizen, will be able to just go on and click on any number and drill down into where those monies are spent, right down to who approved it and what it was spent on. So you won't have to go through no access to information and wait forever and probably never get the answer. The answers will be at your fingertip on a new, modern, upgraded, and intelligent system that allows you to monitor your government. That's the UIC way. We want a government. Listen, the UIC philosophy states clearly that when it comes on to government, you as a person, your privacy should be protected and your government should be transparent. So the government, you should be protected as an individual to have your privacy, but the government should have very little by way of privacy. It must be very transparent. Because you need to know exactly where government gets its money and where it's spending that money. Yep. So we're going to make Jamaica very independent. We're going to make Jamaica very disciplined. We're going to make Jamaica very safe. It's going to be very clean, very orderly. You won't want to leave this Jamaica. You won't have our young people graduating and looking for the first flight out. Because now they're going to have a Jamaica that they want to stay in. So tonight we talked about the problems before in terms of um, what the health minister said about discriminating against Jamaicans based on their health status. We've talked about what Adam Stewart said in terms of him objecting to the health minister's comment, particularly him suggesting that he's going to discriminate against fellow Jamaicans. And we talked about Tanya Stevens' request or suggestion or call for the health minister to resign. And we have moved on from that into the UIC's call for unity, for us to have a unity government, for Mark Golden, Andrew Olness, and myself to sit down around the table, like a Congress, and to look at how we can craft a solid program of development for Jamaica that begins with our human capital and ends with a Jamaica which is safe, which is clean, which is orderly, a Jamaica where each and every one of us can live, can earn, and retire with dignity in our own country and with liberty. Because the foundation of the UIC philosophy is protecting your sovereignty as an individual. This is key, and I don't want you to forget that. I want you to always remember that the UIC is 100% focused on protecting your sovereignty. Let me take a moment to explain that to you. When we talk about your sovereignty, what are we talking about? We're talking about self determination, we're talking about self actualization, we're talking about the borders, the parameters around you as a person. Most time when we talk about sovereignty, when you hear the word sovereignty, people think about a country. They think, a sovereign country. Is Jamaica a sovereign country? Well, it should be, but it isn't. A sovereign country is a country which determines its own future. A sovereign country is one where no other country has the right to interfere with your internal operations. It has no right to infringe on your borders. It has no right to infringe on your freedom to decide for yourself what you want to be, where you want to go, how you want to evolve. That's a sovereign country. Well, interestingly enough, a country is made up of individuals. A country doesn't just exist. A country exists based on its citizens. And each and every one of those citizens are important. Each and every one of those citizens have a natural right to their life. That means nobody has the right to take your life from you. So you have an inherent right to life. That life was not given to you by anyone. It is a gift from your Creator. You didn't earn it, you didn't buy it. It was given to you and it's yours as a gift from your Creator to do with it as you choose. Now, some people don't like to hear that. They like to think that somebody else should choose for you. But no, your life is yours to choose what you want to do with it. And in that life comes with something very interesting. It's called property rights. What is property rights? Property rights is that you as a living entity have the right to own something. And the first thing you own is you. So you have the right to you, to your fingers, to your ears, your nose, your mouth, your foot, your head, your shoulder. They're yours. Again, to do with as you choose. Now, you must have the freedom to do. Otherwise, you don't have the freedom to own. So if you have the right to you, to own you, which you own yourself, and you have the right to take actions to do things, which means you can do things with yourself. For example, you can choose to study carpentry. You can choose to plant a tree in a property that you own, or in a property that somebody leased you, or in a property that somebody gave you permission. You can plant a tree. You can grow that tree. You can cut the tree and you can shape it into a furniture. You can sell that furniture to somebody else and get money for that, and that money is yours. Before you sell it, that furniture is yours. Nobody has the right to infringe on your property. Nobody. The moment somebody decides to infringe on your property, they have committed violence. They have violated you. So if a person decide to steal your life by killing you, they have violated you. They have used violence against you. Force is violence. Unprovoked force is violence. So anybody who uses force to take something from you is using violence. And by something, I mean something you own. That's violence. Now, the government doesn't have any more right to use violence than any of your fellow human beings. The government has no more rights than any other person. In fact, the government has a unique position, and its position is to protect your rights. If you have a society that is based on freedom, not one based on dictatorship or totalitarianism or fascism or communism or socialism, if you have a system where it is a free society, meaning you must be free to choose what to do with your life and your property, then government has no right to use force or violence to take what belongs to you. So it can't take your life, it can't take away your freedom, and it can't take away your property. What it can do, though, is to stop anyone that wants to use violence against you. So the purpose of government is to protect you from violence. It's to protect you from somebody using force or fraud to take away what belongs to you. And there are three things they can take from you. A person can take, a person or a group of persons can use violence or force or fraud to take away your life. So they kill you. And if they kill you, they take away your future. So they've stolen your future from you. So you can't get to enjoy your future because they've stolen it by killing you. Or they can enslave you. If they enslave you, then they're stealing your property rights from you, the right to earn for yourself and to benefit yourself. So they can steal your freedom. That's slavery. Okay? So slavery was theft of the slave's freedom, and by extension, stealing the slave's property, because they've taken the slave's actions, freedom of action, and they've taken the slave's uh, property rights. Whatever the slave worked on, they're stealing it from them. And thirdly, if a person steals what belongs to you, you're stealing your property. So they might steal your money, your car, your bag, your furniture, your phone. That's theft. Now, if it's wrong for me to steal from you, and it's wrong for you to steal from me, if it's wrong for me to use force or violence to take your life or to impose on your property, it is also wrong for government to do the same. I hope you get that. So we have to get back to first principle. We have to get back to basics. And the basics is the purpose of government is to protect our sovereignty, not to take it away. Now, the moment we get to that place and we understand this and design good governance, here what is going to happen. Now your government is going to get much smaller. It's going to cost you less, which is why the UIC wants to reduce your taxes from the big numbers it is now 40%, 55%, 45%, depending on where you are. We're not going to bring that all the way down. Yep. So now government is going to get smaller, smaller and smaller and smaller, and more focused. Smaller and focused. Smaller and focused. More effective, more efficient. So now the cost of government to you is going to come way down, 10% of your income. And when I say income, I mean income from all sources. So wherever you're getting money from, 10% of that goes to the government. 90% goes to you to spend as you see fit. Just think about that. And don't you worry. Don't be fooled. How is the government going to survive without taking more money from me? It's going to survive by spending less and wasting less and stealing less. So we're going to shrink the government and shrink the size of the government's budget. so that you become the spender of your own money. A slave is somebody whose income is taken by somebody else. Now, how much of a slave do you want to be? Do you want to be 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%? The more government takes from you is the more you're working for government. So let's reduce that. Huh? Now, the 10% is supposed to now make sure that you have a safe environment in which to live. Now, that's the number one thing you need. If you get nothing else from government, the number one thing you need is a safe environment. Now, here in Jamaica, we do not have a safe environment, even though the government is taking 45% of our GDP. That's that's crazy. That's absolutely ridiculous. So the UIC is saying, let's bring the cost of government down and let's focus the government on first and foremost creating a safe environment for all Jamaicans. So you can go home peacefully. We're going to save a huge amount of money on steel. No more burglar bars. We're going to be able to take off those burglar bars and use them for manufacturing purposes. Build things that you need to have. We don't need to have burglar bars on our homes. The only reason we have burglar bars on our homes is because government has failed us miserably. So the UIC is going to shrink the government, shrink the amount of money it takes from you, and leave you with 90% of your income to spend as you see fit. And that 10% is going to make sure we have a safe environment, a clean environment, and an orderly environment. So proper garbage collection, good roads, street lights, everybody having a fixed address, a beautiful, well-maintained society that you can feel proud of, that you can feel good about, and you can efficiently go about your business of earning and taking care of your family. Now, we could stop there, but then we'll be missing a very realistic part of the equation. Jamaica has suffered. Jamaica has suffered from, first of all, Jamaicans, 400 years of slavery, and now another 100 years of colonial rule, and then another 80 years almost of colonial rule by our own people. So we left the colonial masters, but they still maintain full control through a bad constitution and a bunch of Jamaicans who failed to correct the problem for 78 years, right? But we want to put that behind us. And the way for us to put it behind us is for us to unite now around the truth and some solution. And so, having gone through that period, the 78 years, plus the 100 or so, plus the 400 or so, we have some serious psychological damage and some serious social damage and some serious economic damage that has been done to our people. So we're going to have to address those. How do we address them? We have to have social programs that work. Now, we can't afford a plethora of social programs all over the place, which then finds ways of feeding corruption and sucking monies out of the economy for unproductive waste and corruption. So we're going to be very focused. So the UIC is proposing, and I hope I can get Mark and Andrew to agree on this. Let us dedicate the GCT, bring it down from 15 to 10%, and let's dedicate the GCT now to eradicating poverty. So remember, we have 10% over here that we're going to use exclusively for what government should do. We're going to use it effectively, efficiently, to deliver a high quality environment, safe, clean, orderly environment for all Jamaicans. But to remedy the long history of social degradation, the long history of poverty, the long history of mismanagement and waste and corruption that have left so many Jamaicans behind. We're now going to invest targetedly, in a focused way, on fixing the social problem of poverty in Jamaica. So we're going to dedicate the GCT. That's what I'm proposing. That's what the UIC is proposing. And my aim now is to say, let's put the partisan politics aside, sit around the table, PNP, JLP, UIC, let's sit around the table and have a carefully crafted plan for implementing solid policies to fix Jamaica. So the 10% GCT, we're now going to target that and focus now on fixing our human capital, which includes some key elements. First of all, nutrition for our children. Secondly, education for our children. Thirdly, healthcare for our children. And fourthly, housing. Okay? So we're going to make sure that our children are healthy, make sure that they're properly nourished, make sure that they're fully educated, and make sure that their families are properly housed in decent, high quality housing communities, which includes beautiful condos with beautiful parks, with modern community centers, including recreational facilities, learning facilities, and family resources. We're going to invest in getting our parents to become parents, learn parenting skills. We're going to invest in making sure that before the child is born, they have proper prenatal care. We're going to invest in making sure that our children going to school are properly nourished. We're going to invest in ensuring that the teachers who are teaching our children from basic school all the way through are top quality educators who have learned how to teach, what to teach, and how best to help our children to become thinkers, innovators, creators, inventors. Okay? We're going to make sure that our police shifts from being an old, outdated colonial system to a police service that is fully integrated into the community from a social service level straight through to a anti-crime fighting tool. So they're not just going to be about fighting crime, they're going to be about preventing crime. So working with the families, working with the social services, working in the community to bring and help to bring the family along and restore confidence in our men and women in uniform. In this program, which is a all-encompassing program, we will have intermediary steps. So, for example, we're not going to fix the education system overnight. So, the bridge between the education system of the future and the bad system now will be two programs. One will be the Youth Employment Solution, which is focused on making sure that every single graduate, or rather every single school leaver who leaves high school without the skills and competencies they need to get into tertiary or post-secondary advanced studies, whether trades or otherwise, professional or otherwise, if they're not heading into one of those, they immediately go into an apprenticeship program where they learn on the job and are paid and are made into highly productive citizens. Now, I heard Mark Golden parroting this on the Wayne Lonesome show a day or two ago, maybe yesterday. So he was saying the same thing. So that's good. That's good. He has copied the UIC manifesto and agenda. Both of them have been doing that. Fine. Let's copy it for real. Let's not copy it to win elections. Let's copy it to really rebuild Jamaica or build Jamaica and get us on the right path and fix the problem. Okay? I am willing to not run for prime minister or anything like that if we can agree to work together and get these things done for the Jamaican people. Right? So don't just parrot what I'm saying, Mark Golden. Don't just parrot what I'm saying, Andrew. Let us get around the table and together let's get it done for the Jamaican people. So back to what I was saying. So we're going to fix the social problem, the social side. So that means no more ghettos, no more garrisons, no more squatter communities. That's what it means. Yeah? So we're going to get rid of all of those things. No more ghettos, no more squatter communities, no more garrisons. And we're going to completely remove those and replace them with high quality, high density condominiums in areas which are less suited for farming and preserve our farming areas. I see somebody here saying we need some factory jobs. Well, that will come. The word, there are different things now in modern society. Jamaica has to find its competitive advantage, and as I said earlier on, our competitive advantage is agriculture, but not just any agriculture. Our strategic advantage, our competitive advantage, is in organic farming, organic food production. Now, this has some wonderful positive side effects. If we choose to make Jamaica the organic food capital of the world, we're getting rid of a lot of bad substances from our society. The pesticides and herbicides that are not good for us will be banished from our society. The quality of the food we eat will now be high quality foods which are not contaminated. So our cancer rates and health problem rates are going to go down. So that's a beautiful side effect. The margins you earn on organic food is higher because of the quality of the food, right? And if we build a reputation of being the nation that produces these high quality foods, just imagine, everybody wants to buy from us, right? And so we get a beautiful competitive advantage in the international market, huge foreign inflows, which will revalue our dollar. So instead of it being 155 or 160 to 1, over time, you're going to see it dropping from 150 to 1 to 125 to 1 to 100 to 1 to 75 to 1 to 50 to 1 to $25 to 1, and it keeps going because we are going to be having greater inflow of foreign exchange dollars than outflow. Because remember, a part of our plan, a part of the UIC plan, is through this process of organic farming to make Jamaica food secure, water secure, and energy secure. Yeah. So we are going to now have a solid country that is not easily now manipulated by foreign powers, because once we make Jamaica a country where we can feed ourselves, we have all the food we need to feed ourselves, and we're feeding the rest of the world as well. That puts us in a very solid position. And once we invest in water harvesting in the ways that the UIC has been explaining for years now, so we have water for ourselves, and now we're able to export water. That is power. Water is going to be one of the most precious commodity as the years go on and mankind continues to abuse the environment. If we shift Jamaica into a solidly high quality country that protects its environment, getting rid of the mining and protect our environment, and build a permaculture environment, build a solid organic food production environment, which includes effective water harvesting and um, an energy infrastructure that allows us to draw on the different kinds of energies available to us, whether it's hydro or geothermal or biogas or solar. Yeah. And if we bring that mix together and have a co-generation arrangement, without a monopoly in the market. So we no longer have a JPS monopoly, but what we have is an open market that allows any Jamaican to become an energy supplier on the grid and getting paid for what energy they produce and push on that grid. Now we create a Jamaica that has low cost of energy. This low cost of energy will push up our competitive edge in terms of what we do manufacture here, because now the cost of energy is lower. Your competitiveness will become greater because now you can supply the world market at a lower cost because of your energy cost being lower. And if we have also built our human capital in the way that I've described, now you also have a more productive workforce, a more productive labor force, a more productive nation. So your output will continue to increase. So higher outputs, low energy costs, uh, greater exports in terms of water and organic food. Jamaica is going to become the envy of the world. And I can assure you, we're going to end up having to require a visa to come to Jamaica. Yeah. So we're going to preserve the lands and create beautiful parks. So right across Jamaica, you're going to have this very, very beautiful nation where everybody in the world will want to come here. And here's the beauty. As the world becomes more and more totalitarian, where people are not free to speak, not free to live as they choose, Jamaica will become that one great free nation that everybody in the world will want to migrate to. I'm looking forward to that day. I hope you're also looking forward to it. I am looking forward to the day when the entire world will see Jamaica for what it truly is and can be, the greatest nation on earth. Yes, we might not be as big as the USA. We may not be as small as Singapore. We may not be um, like Cuba or Haiti, but can be is a free nation, a productive nation, and by extension, a powerful nation. And so I'm inviting all of you to get on this journey with me and the UIC. Let us invite our friends in the PNP and the JLP, and I'm calling on the leaders of both parties to let us sit around the table and invest in this vision for Jamaica. Let us put aside our political differences and let us create one Jamaica, united, strong, and free. Thank you all very much. Have a good night until we talk again. Take care.